You're the one who remembers the story they told 6 months ago that everyone else forgot. You catch the micro expression they made before they even finished their sentence. It's exhausting, isn't it? Being the unofficial historian of the people around you. You aren't overthinking your brain is running a program most people don't even have installed. You've had that moment where a friend says, "I never told you this," and you feel the tiny jolt of realizing they did 2 years ago in a car while staring out the window, but you let them have the moment anyway. You remember what someone was wearing the first time they trusted you with something fragile. You notice when a laugh sounds 5% sadder than usual and store it without knowing why. That isn't random, and it doesn't mean something is wrong with you. Research across several fields points to a real pattern. Some people naturally process social information at a much deeper level than others. The people who fit that pattern share a specific set of traits. I call them emotional archivists. And once you see the pattern, you start seeing yourself clearly. Psychology explains this at the level of memory itself. Your brain is unusually good at episodic memory, which means it stores lived moments with full context, not just facts. Most people remember the headline of an interaction. You remember the lighting, the pause, the emotional temperature of the room. It's less like having a better camera and more like having subtitles permanently turned on for human behavior. There's a reason you walk into a room and immediately sense the tension no one's named yet. Psychologist Elaine Aron studied this. She called it sensory processing sensitivity. And people who score high on it don't just notice more, they encode more by default. Their brains are flagging information that other people's brains never even register as relevant. And here's where it connects to memory. Classic research on how we store experience showed that the deeper you process, meaning not just words, but why someone chose those words, the stronger the memory trace. So when your mind automatically asks, "Why did she say it like that?" you aren't overthinking. You're building a higher resolution recording than anyone else in the room. Now, a small number of people have something called highly superior autobiographical memory, where they can recall almost every day of their life in forensic detail. That's a documented condition and is different from this. What I'm describing is actually more interesting because it isn't about storing everything, it's about storing people. Your brain isn't a hard drive, it's a witness. And that distinction matters more than it might seem. You remember the exact sentence someone used in a disagreement, not the topic, the sentence, and you replay it later to work out what they meant beneath the wording. That happens because deep emotional processing creates durable memory. This isn't you being dramatic. It's you catching layers other people miss entirely. People's coffee orders, their allergies, the odd little dislikes they mentioned once in passing and forgot they ever said. Your brain stores those details because meaning sticks harder than data. That kind of memory is quiet evidence that when someone speaks, you actually register them. Here's the part most people get backwards. Sometimes the reason you can't just let something go isn't that it hurt more, it's that you understood more while it was happening. Research on how we replay conversations suggests that going back over an exchange can deepen the memory even when you never intended to rehearse it. So the thing you've been judging yourself for might be the side effect of a mind that was tracking meaning in real time. That's not a flaw in your wiring. It's closer to your brain running higher resolution than the situation required and you paying the processing cost for it. You go back to a place you once shared with someone, and before you even notice the walls or the weather, you feel who they were that day. Let that land for a second. You don't remember the place. You remember the person in the place. Psychology explains that through mood-congruent memory, emotion tags the experience and pulls it forward first, ahead of everything else. You don't just remember what people said. You remember what they meant when they said it and what they were afraid to say right before. That's why people can feel strangely seen around you without being able to explain why. You've probably been told at some point that you're too sensitive or that you read too much into things. And every time, some part of you knew that wasn't quite right because you weren't imagining it. You were just the only one paying that kind of attention. The mistake is calling this over-attachment when it's really a form of witness. The world treats forgetting as neutral, but your mind has never worked that way. To remember someone's small details is to tell them, without words, you were worth paying attention to. So the real shift is this. Stop measuring this trait by how well it protects you and start measuring it by what it reveals about how deeply you pay attention to the people who matter to you. Most people in your life have felt this from you long before they had language for it. If this resonated, there's a second pattern that almost always shows up alongside it. Psychology has a name for it that most people completely misunderstand, and it explains why certain people drain you completely while others feel like home. The moment you meet them.